What's up guys, how you doing? If you haven't been to my channel before, my name's Philip Scrubber. Today we're making fake ice. I want this to be really quick, so the actual making ice part, last 5 minutes, I'm going to walk you through what you need, what it looks like. I've made a lot of ice, from beautiful pieces of ice like this, to melted pieces of ice like this. I've made round ones, glossy, I've made matte ones. Some of it has turned yellow. If anyone is an expert on resin, please tell me why it turns yellow. I've even put plastic buttons in the oven. Don't do it. Stupid, stupid, stupid. It's toxic. I've spent a lot of time making these, so you don't have to go through it. First of all, buy yourself some silicone ice cube trays. I've got one like this, and this is no doubt my favorite one. It works really, really well. It's how I get these pieces of ice like this. And it's awesome, it's my favorite. For round ones, you basically buy something like this and pour the resin in through the top. And for these huge ones, I have this huge silicone tray. You can get those all off Amazon. I'm sure you can find them quite easily. What you're gonna need to make beautiful ice is some rubber gloves, because the resin is not fun when you get it on your hands. You're gonna need some wooden spatulas for mixing, a paper cup for mixing, or a plastic one, a plastic measuring cup like this, a plastic, thing like this, and some more plastic. The plastic helps because you put it on, you put your ice cube tray in there and the resin doesn't go everywhere because it will probably overflow. Right, next things are tools. A file. That is how I get these angles right here, see? Instead of sanding it down, I basically file it down into a shape I like, which is a lot faster than sanding it. You can also use one of these, put some gritty sandpaper on it and just sand it down, though I find the file works the best. You can use a knife to cut off the edges, though it could be a little bit dangerous. So once again, I promote the file. Car polishing paste. Get some car polishing paste. You're going to need this to polish up at the very end, and you will need some paper. So I have 800, 1000 and 2500 grit. You will need all three for this experiment. And if you're really lazy and you don't like polishing it, or you can't get the right polish, you can pick yourself up a mini drill, which is really cool. It looks like this. And you have a little end here that you can stick on little drill bits. You have ones like this which are hard for polishing. They're rubbish. Best thing to do is find something which is a rotary tool loose leaf buffing wheel kit. Looks like this. And they're really great because inside you have these, well, they're made out of kind of cotton pieces. They're really cool. They work very, very well. Enough of that. Let's make some ice. Start off by pouring your mixture into a measuring cup. I have mixture B and I'm pouring in 50 milliliters. When you've done that, pour it into a mixing cup. It can be paper or plastic, and make sure to scrape it all out. This is very important, otherwise the mixture might not set correctly. Now pour in part A. I have a 2-to-1 ratio, so I'm pouring in 100 milliliters. Once you've done that, pour it into the solution with part B. Once again, make sure to scrape it all out so that the mixture sets correctly. Once all of your mixtures are in the mixing cup, make sure to stir it very well. Get the sides of the cup, get the bottom of the cup. If you don't, it might not set correctly. When you've finished mixing, there will be evident bubbles in the mixture. Don't worry about this. Now place your silicone ice cube tray into a plastic container in case it overflows, and start pouring your mixture into the ice cube tray. You can go all the way up to the top so it's flat. As you pour, you'll see bubbles will start to rise to the top. Don't worry about that. You can take them out with one of the wooden spatulas. Do it very slowly, very carefully, and you'll see that every single one of the bubbles will be removed. After waiting the required amount of time your resin needs to set, you can basically pull apart the silicone ice cube tray, and it's really easy to pull out the cubes. Pull them out one by one. You'll see the parts that were touching the silicone are quite matte. We're going to need to work on this. As you can see, the part that wasn't touching anything is completely gloss. That's going to be very helpful. What we're going to need now are our sanding papers and some water. So get your 800, 1000 and 2500 ready. Get a little plastic container and some water and wet your sandpaper. This takes a little bit of elbow grease. You can do it in your hand or on the table, and as you sand away, you'll see that the resin turns into this paste. You have to use water when using these sandpapers, otherwise it's almost impossible to sand with them. When you finish with the 800, use the 1000. And sand away until you feel that it's almost perfect. When you've reached that point where it's a little bit shiny, start using the 2500, which is extremely fine, and the more you sand away, the shinier it will get. Polish off any excess residue, and you should see that it's starting to look very nice. This is the part where we move over to car polish, put some on the cube, get some cotton rags, and polish away. It's best to do it on a table. Doing it on your hand is a little bit more difficult. When you do it on a table, you can do it a few times and you'll see that the actual gloss finish will start to come out and it will look like a real piece of ice. Do this for a few minutes and you'll have it really shiny before you know it. Wipe off the actual paste and there it is. That's your finished ice cube on one side. Repeat this technique on every single side and on all corners, and you'll see that your piece of ice will start to take shape. And it will end up looking like this. This is a finished piece that I sanded and polished for maybe an hour, and it came out absolutely perfect. I've also got a couple of balls. One I sanded down just with the 2500 paper, one I polished with the car polish. You can see the difference clearly. Now, if you have any resin left, you can smear it on the bottom of one of your ice cubes. Place that on a glossy piece of plastic and it should stick nicely. Now pour the excess resin over the top of that piece of ice. It doesn't have to be polished, the resin will fill in any gaps that have been sanded. Be quite generous with the resin, let it pour on top, around, at the bottom. You can even join them together to make interesting pieces of melted ice. And when it's set the required amount of time, you can basically pick it up off the piece of plastic and it'll be done. If you want separate pieces, cut it, polish the edges, and you've got melted ice. How great is that? So that's how I make my ice cubes. And you can make them as unique as you want and nobody will have the same ones. It's really simple, and if you really polish it up, spend some time, you can get some beautiful, beautiful cubes, and every single one of them can be unique in its own little way. You know, it's amazing for food, drinks, photography to have your own set of ice, because buying these can cost you a lot of money, but making them yourself, you buy yourself some resin and you've got yourself a whole ice tray. I mean, tons of it for a really cheap price. If my film helped you in any way, please give me a like because that really does help. If you have any questions at all about how to make beautiful fake ice cubes, drop them in the comments below. I will do my best to help you out. And if you're into filmmaking tutorials, photography tutorials, food, drinks photography, subscribe. There'll be more of that coming along. Catch you guys soon.